My childhood sweetheart. Michael. Changed my train ticket. I got engaged to David. And Michael cried in regret. On the eve of National Day. After staying up 3 nights in a row to snag a ticket home. Michael rescheduled it for the last day of the holiday, furious. I confronted him. But he brushed it off lightly. I had no choice. The Mid-Autumn Festival and National Day coincided this year. Sophia wants to spend mid-autumn with Thomas. So you can come back a few days later to give Thomas more time with Sophia. Sophia Davis was Thomas Green's illegitimate daughter, that he delayed our parents' meeting just so Thomas could spend mid-autumn with his secret child. Suppressing my anger, I calmly asked Michael. The tickets changed. So what about us meeting the parents? Michael replied carelessly. Sophia wants to visit my family too. So we'll take her first. You can come to my place on the last day of the holiday. After hanging up, I messaged David. Want to get engaged this National Day? He replied instantly. Give me half an hour, I'll drive over to pick you up. On National Day's Eve, as I packed my bags, a travel alert popped up on my phone. I glanced at it and felt the blood drain from my face. My reserved October 1st train ticket had been rescheduled to October 6th. Who had done this? Frantically, I called the railway hotline but was told the change was made from my own phone. Suddenly, it hit me. Michael had borrowed my phone to order food yesterday. Trembling, I called Michael's number. Michael, why was my train ticket changed? Did you accidentally mess up while using my phone? Even then, I clung to a shred of hope. We'd grown up together as childhood sweethearts, back in senior year, when his grades lagged behind mine. Michael pulled all-nighters for a whole year just to get into the same college as me. On the first day of university, a bare-faced photo of mine landed on the campus confession wall. Michael spent the entire night commenting under every post. Sorry, but Lily is taken. From day one. The whole campus knew that campus belle Lily had a childhood sweetheart who'd chased her from high school to college. Everyone assumed Michael and I would go from school uniforms to wedding gowns during freshman orientation. He declared his love for me in front of all the new students. In our final year, we planned to meet each other's parents this National Day and marry right after graduation. But now, facing my question, Michael just said offhandedly, "Oh, I rescheduled your ticket." Why? I asked. My voice shaking. We agreed to go home together for National Day to meet the parents. Michael clicked his tongue impatiently. Sophia just lost her mom. And this mid-autumn, she's all alone. She wants her dad with her for the holiday. Just come back later and let Thomas spend more time with Sophia. I stifled my rage and asked calmly. The tickets changed. What about us meeting the parents? Michael replied dismissively. Sophia wants to visit my family too. And I've already promised to take her for a few days. Meeting the parents can wait. Just come to my house on the last day of the holiday. I laughed bitterly. Fine. Michael, don't you regret this? After hanging up, I messaged David. Want to get engaged this National Day? He replied instantly. Half an hour, I'll drive over to pick you up. I collapsed weakly onto my dorm bed, staring at the gift boxes piled on my desk. I suddenly felt like a fool. To go home with Michael and meet his parents. ID pulled 3 all-nighters to grab 2 high-speed rail tickets. ID even blown 2 years' worth of part-time savings on expensive gifts for Michael's parents and grandma. ID thought he was just as excited as I was for the day we'd go public with our relationship. But I never expected that Michael really wanted to take someone home to meet his parents. But that person wasn't me. It was my half-sister, Sophia Davis, Thomas Green's illegitimate daughter. He clearly knew that Sophia and I had never gotten along since childhood. Thomas was alive and son-in-law back then. Because he couldn't afford college, he used every trick to pursue my mom to get my grandparents to pay for his education, even volunteering to be a live-in son-in-law later. After Thomas graduated and started a successful business, becoming a boss, it wasn't long before he started an affair with his female secretary. When that secretary showed up at our door, heavily pregnant, to force a confrontation. My mom was pregnant with me and got so upset she went into premature labor, nearly dying along with me. Sophia is only 4 months younger than me. When I was born, Thomas was at the hospital with the secretary for her prenatal checkup. And even the C-section fee was paid by Robert. When Sophia was born, he stayed by the secretary's side all night and even booked her a luxury postpartum center costing 200,000 yuan a month. I took my mom's surname, Johnson, but Sophia took Thomas' surname, Green, since childhood. Thomas has favored Sophia. My child support was strictly based on the court ruling. 1,280 yuan a month. Not a penny more, for Sophia. Just her monthly allowance was 50,000 yuan. Not to mention, Sophia grew up in a mansion with a driver and nanny, attending a prestigious school with over 500,000 yuan in annual tuition. Michael said Sophia was pitiful because she had no family around during the holidays. But for over 20 years, hadn't Thomas always been with her and her mom? Only this year, because our families had agreed to meet the parents during National Day, and it happened to coincide with Mid-Autumn Festival. Thomas couldn't be with Sophia for just that one day, so she's pitiful. What about me? I had my family torn apart and my dad stolen by Themum. I not pitiful. On my dorm desk, the premium tea I bought for Michael's father, the luxury skincare set for Michael's mother, and the health supplements for Michael's grandmother all seemed to mock my delusions that I was shaking with rage. Eyes red. And quickly took photos of these gift boxes to upload to my social media feed with the caption, "Half-price sale on 3 mid-autumn gift sets. Perfect for elders or bosses. Local delivery included, because of the 50 discount." Someone messaged me quickly to buy them, just then. 2 comments appeared on my feed. Sophia sweetly tagged Thomas. "Daddy, why is Lily selling secondhand stuff on her feed? Is she short on living expenses? Maybe you should send her some money." My childhood friend angrily accused. "Lily, just because I changed your train ticket home, making you return a few days later, you sold the mid-autumn gifts meant for my parents." Seconds later, Michael called Lily. "Delete that post. If my parents see it, what will they think? Do you still want to meet them?" I laughed bitterly. "Michael, you're taking someone else home to meet your parents. Why should I go to your house? To be your second wife?" On the other end, Michael paused guiltily before softening his tone. "Lily, you've misunderstood. Sophia is just visiting as a friend for a couple of days. You're my girlfriend. And I promised I'd be with you forever. Be good, delete that post so my parents don't see it. You know they already have issues with you." I gripped my phone tightly, voice trembling. "Michael, so you agree with your parents, don't you? That because my mom was useless and couldn't hold on to Thomas, her golden ticket, am living worse than his illegitimate daughter. That because Thomas doesn't like me and favors Sophia more. Your parents think Sophia will inherit his fortune and is better suited to be your fiancé." My word-by-word questioning felt like a sharp knife, piercing Michael's hidden motives. He exploded. "Lily, if you insist on thinking that way, it'll really take Sophia home to meet them." I calmly replied, "Whatever." The call ended abruptly, moments later. Sophia sent a video. It was filmed at the imported grocery store Michael and I used to frequent, back then. Because ID turned 18. Thomas had cut off my child support entirely. Michael felt sorry for me not eating enough in the cafeteria and often made excuses for me to accompany him shopping, buying me all sorts of treats. Once, while Michael and I were browsing, we unexpectedly ran into Thomas shopping with Sophia and her mom. The shopping cart was stuffed full of imported snacks that Sophia liked. Sophia could casually pick up a box of imported chocolates on the shelf priced at over 600. On the other hand, was still carefully budgeting my 500 yuan monthly living expenses and couldn't even afford to order a meat dish. That day, Michael hugged me tightly and swore to me, "Lily, I'll definitely buy this supermarket in the future and have it serve only you. I won't let Sophia and her homewrecker mom in." The vow still echoed in my ears. But now, he was holding Sophia's hand and walking into that supermarket. Chatting and laughing, Sophia's affected voice came through the phone. Sis, I'm going to Michael's house as a guest tomorrow, but I don't know what gifts to buy. So Michael brought me to this supermarket. Don't be mad at me. Okay. I clenched my phone tightly, with a cold look on my face, and quickly typed a message. I'm not mad. I am used to it. After all, just like your home wrecker mom, you think any new thing is good. You just like to steal other people's men. Don't you? Sophia didn't reply. 1 minute later. Michael called me Lily. Why do you have to bully Sophia? She's also your sister. I know you hate her mom for breaking up your parents. But her mom is gone now. The old generation feud should end here. Right. Sophia is just a little girl who just lost her mom. Can't you just give in to her? If you keep being so unreasonable and bullying Sophia, I think I need to reconsider our engagement. I trembled with anger. No need to consider. Michael, let's break up. I hung up the phone, tremblingly blocked and deleted Michael from my phone contacts and WeChat, just as I was about to block Sophia. I suddenly saw an update on her moments. Several beautifully packaged imported food gift boxes filled the shopping cart, and the hands of a man and a woman were intertwined on the handle of the cart. Sophia wrote, I'm so nervous about my first time meeting my boyfriend's parents. Luckily, Michael accompanied me to pick the gifts that I hope his parents like them. I was completely stunned, feeling as if I was frozen. So, Michael could patiently accompany Sophia to the supermarket, help her pick gifts, and make his parents happy. But that day, when I asked Michael what gifts his parents liked, he impatiently told me to pick whatever I wanted, saying it was just a formality. Yeah. A person who doesn't love you anymore won't take you seriously. Looking at the gifts on the table that I carefully selected with 2 years' worth of my living expenses. At this moment, I finally confirmed. My childhood sweetheart was dead. Dead in the year when we were about to make our relationship official. Suddenly, my phone rang. It was the errand runner I called to pick up the package. Looking at the beautifully packaged gift boxes on the table and the torn greeting card in the trash can, the young errand runner didn't say much. He just pretended to be relaxed and comforted me. Miss, did you not get a ticket home? It's okay. If you can't go home during the National Day holiday, you can go back during the winter vacation. Anyway, your family will always be there. They're gone. I forced a bitter smile and handed the gift boxes to the errand runner. After thinking for a while, I took out a box of washed fruits from my bag and gave it to him. The errand runner declined at first, but I smiled and held it out to him. You can eat it or give it to someone else. I am allergic to mangoes. This box of fruits was specially prepared for Michael. He was careless, and he would easily get dizzy and nauseous on the high-speed train. Every time we went home together, I would prepare some fruits he liked in advance, but now, it seemed these fruits were no longer needed. Just after seeing off the errand runner, David called me. I am downstairs. Tell the dormitory auntie, and he'll go up to help you carry your luggage. I felt a warm feeling in my heart. No need, it's just one box. I can carry it. After being with Michael for so many years, every time during holidays, he would wait for me downstairs, and I would carry my luggage down by myself. I was used to it. But unexpectedly, 2 minutes later, David appeared at the dormitory door, with the responsible dormitory auntie beside him. Seeing me, David smiled and said, I told the dormitory auntie that you're my girlfriend, and I'm here to pick you up to meet my parents. The dormitory auntie looked at us and showed a kind smile like a mother. David Wilson produced a box of exquisite imported chocolates like a magician and stuffed it into the hands of the dormitory auntie. Sorry to trouble you. This is the wedding candy for my engagement with Lily, he said. According to school regulations, dormitory staff are not allowed to accept gifts from students casually. But wedding candy is an exception. David drove a low-key gray Volvo, which was completely different from his usual flamboyant style. Facing my puzzled look, he explained with a smile, My grandfather is in the Veterans Sanatorium for convalescents. And my parents are there too. David is a mysterious figure in our school. People say he is the son of a high-ranking official. And his family has a deep background. I've never been to the so-called Veterans Sanatorium in my life. And I suddenly got nervous. David, can you take me to the mall? I asked. David gave me a puzzled look. I blushed and said, It's my first time visiting your home. I can't go empty-handed. Right. David smiled. Drove me to an off-the-beaten-path boutique supermarket. Just as I was puzzled, he explained, My mom's company often gives out shopping cards for this supermarket. She can't use them all up anyway. We'll use the cards to buy things. It won't cost us a cent. For a moment, my eyes welled up with tears. And I awkwardly looked out of the window. It turned out that he always knew I didn't have much money. After my mom and dad divorced, she went back to our hometown to help my grandfather Robert manage a dozen acres of tea gardens. After a year of hard work, she could only earn about 100,000 yuan. After deducting the cost of fertilizers and labor, the money she got was only enough to support me through college. During my college years, I've been working part-time outside to help with the family expenses. I met David when I was doing a part-time job. Once, in order to save money to buy a birthday gift for Michael, I secretly went to a bar to work without telling him, when I was being forced to drink by a customer. David took me out of the private room. Later, I found out that the bar belonged to a rich second-generation friend of David's. He didn't ask me why I was working in the bar. He just recommended a new part-time job to me the next day. I always thought David and I were from two different worlds. David's family background was so prominent that Then the Brown family was a bit in awe of it. Michael's parents didn't think much of me. How could the Wilson family accept me? But I never expected that one day, David, who seemed so high above, would confess his love to me. It was after the first fight between Michael and me because of Sophia. Sophia was a year junior to us. I don't know what she was thinking. But she insisted on applying to the same university as me. On the day of enrollment, my dad Thomas called me and asked me to pick up Sophia. I refused without even thinking. How could he have the nerve to ask me to pick up his illegitimate daughter? When I was going to college, since there was no direct train from our hometown to the university, my mom called my dad and asked him to arrange a driver to take me. You know what he said? Lily is already 18. She's not a child anymore. You have to let her learn to be independent. Now that it was his beloved illegitimate daughter's turn to go to college, why didn't he tell Sophia to be independent? That night, with red eyes, I told Michael about this. I thought he would side with me and draw a clear line from Sophia, the illegitimate daughter, at school. But the next day, I saw Michael at the freshman dormitory building, carrying a suitcase and chatting and laughing with Sophia. The moment our eyes met, Michael panicked. He let go of the suitcase and walked quickly towards me, with an uncomfortable expression. He explained, Lily, Uncle Thomas called me and asked me to help pick up Sophia. I thought Uncle Thomas is your dad after all. I couldn't not give him face. I didn't say a word. I just gave him a disappointed look and turned around to leave. I thought Michael would, as he did before, drop everything and chase after me. But that day, I waited at our usual lovers' slope from evening until it was completely dark. And Michael never showed up. When I opened my phone, I accidentally saw Sophia's WeChat moments. In the 9 grid photos. My childhood sweetheart boyfriend seemed to have suddenly become Sophia's boyfriend. He was attentively helping her fetch hot water, recharge her meal card, make the bed, and hang the mosquito net. In the comment section, there were countless envious voices saying that Sophia had found a top-notch boyfriend. Even my own father, the man who never looked at my WeChat moments, commented below, Michael is a good boy. It's a pity he's with that unfilial Lily. Tears streamed down my face uncontrollably, with a trembling hand. I sent a message to Michael. Let's break up. The last bit of battery in my phone ran out, and the lover's slope was completely dark. In the darkness, a faint light suddenly appeared before me. It was David. He crouched down, reached out to pat my head, and sighed heavily. Lily, does it have to be him? Just because he grew up with you since childhood? Are you really set on him? Would you like to try things out with me instead? My thoughts snapped back to the present as I watched David's profile while he carefully selected gifts. Suddenly, I felt that maybe trying someone new wouldn't be so bad. The silver-gray Volvo wound through a forest before finally arriving at the veterans' retirement home. Guards stood sentry at the entrance, and David's car drove straight to a modest red brick house in the yard. An elderly man with ramrod-straight posture was tending to potted plants on a table. David's mother was arranging fruit platters and mooncakes. David's father, a prominent figure often seen on TV news, wore an apron and sleeves, single-handedly managing 2 stoves. One pot simmered with chestnut chicken stew, while the other steamed hairy crabs, surprisingly. David's grandfather and parents were incredibly approachable elders. Without a hint of pretension, hearing my family grew tea, George immediately pulled me aside to taste his treasured tea leaves. When David's father saw us drinking tea, he scooped a plate of freshly made candied chestnuts, shoved it toward David, and winked conspiratorially. Quit standing there like a log. Go peel chestnuts for your girlfriend, make a good impression. David's mother asked about my hometown, Jinjai. I answered honestly. George paused mid-pour. Jinjai. A fine place. Revolutionary heartland. Many of my old comrades came from there. By the way, David mentioned your grandfather served. Which unit? What was his name? I shook my head. I don't know the unit. He only told me he fought in the liberation of Luzhou. A shell shattered his leg, so he retired home. His name was Robert. Clatter. Georges' teacup fell onto the carpet. Robert was his childhood nickname. Yao Mei. My jaw dropped. How did you know that? Even my father and Michael didn't know this. Robert had been frail as a child, so to help him survive, my great-grandmother followed local tradition and gave him this girlish nickname, believing it could trick the king of hell. But Robert hated Yao Mei for sounding unmanly and forbade anyone from using it. Few in our hometown remembered it now. How did George know? George didn't answer. Instead, trembling, he picked up his reading glasses. After putting them on, he studied me intently, murmuring, "Alike, so alike. No wonder I felt such warmth when I first saw you. So you're Robert's granddaughter. Of course." Of course. Wiping his eyes, he thumped David's shoulder and laughed heartily. Truly my grandson. Even your taste in partners matches mine. That's how I learned George and Robert had fought together in the liberation of Luzhou. George smiled. We both got wounded, lost a leg. I lost an arm. He lay in the bed next to mine. Later, the troops marched north. His leg never healed properly. I heard he returned home to grow tea. I smiled faintly. More than tea. He kept bees, raised tussa silkworms, planted walnuts, chestnuts, and torreillas on the hills. He even cultivated wood ear mushrooms and sugarcane. George immediately stood up. Look at you all. Our future daughter-in-law is here meeting us. Hurry up, prepare generous gifts. We must visit her family too. David's mother chuckled. Even an awkward son-in-law must face his in-laws. It's time David met the Greens. On my second day at the Wilson home, I found myself dazedly riding a military vehicle assigned to George, heading straight to my hometown. George and Robert hadn't seen each other for decades, yet they talked like old friends reunited. When my mother saw David carrying armloads of lavish gifts and heard Mrs. Wilson call her in-law, she stared at me in confusion. Lily, what's going on? Weren't you with Michael? I forced a bitter smile and didn't hide it, Mom. Michael took Sophia back to meet his parents. With just this one sentence, my mom instantly understood everything. Her eyes reddened slightly, and she silently pulled me into her arms, just like when I was a kid. She gently patted me and said, "It's okay. It's okay. There are plenty of men out there. If this one doesn't work, well, find another one. I think this David is quite nice. He's tall and strong. Much handsomer than that Michael." His grandfather and your grandpa were old comrades in arms. We know his family well. After all. It was the first time the in-laws were coming. My mom thought about it and didn't want me to lose face in front of my future in-laws. So she called my dad, Thomas. Lily brought her boyfriend here. And the boy's parents are also here. Come and meet them. Before my dad could say anything on the phone, Sophia suddenly let out a surprised cry, with a sobbing voice. She said to my dad, "Dad, is it possible that Lily deliberately found someone to pretend to be her boyfriend just because Michael invited me to his house to play? And what in-laws? Could they be extras hired from outside for $200 a day? How could Lily be like this? I've already said that Michael and I are just friends." My dad paused for a moment and impatiently said to my mom, "The kids are being silly. And you're joining in. What boyfriend? Everyone knows that Lily and Michael have been childhood sweethearts. And the two families are about to arrange an engagement. Michael is right beside me now. Where could Lily find a boyfriend?" Michael's voice also came through the phone. "Lily, is it fun to tell such lies? Everyone knows you're my girlfriend. We've been dating for 4 years, apart from me. Where could you get a boyfriend? Come on. Stop acting up. I've already said that I'm just accompanying Sophia and Uncle Thomas to celebrate the Mid-Autumn Festival. After the Mid-Autumn Festival, I'll take you back to meet my parents." "Okay." I took my mom's phone and coldly interrupted his monologue. "Michael, I've said before that we're broken up. I won't go back with you to meet your parents. As for whether I've found a boyfriend and who he is, it's none of your business." Michael got angry. "Fine. You said it yourself. Don't regret it." A moment later, Sophia posted a message on her social media. The Brown family's villa. Michael and his parents, along with my dad and Sophia, were sitting together having a reunion dinner. Michael and Sophia were sitting side by side, with Michael lowering his head and patiently peeling crabs for Sophia. Sophia captioned the post. "Finally met the parents." Michael, as if in a fit of pique, deliberately left a comment. "Some people just don't have the luck. Well, whoever wants this so-called luck can have it." I casually liked this post and sincerely blessed them. May this cheating man and this scheming woman be together forever. May they have a long and happy marriage and be childless. The next second, Sophia called. I promptly blocked and deleted her. Then my dad called. I instinctively looked at my mom. My mom said, "Why are you looking at me? That old guy won't even meet your future in-laws. Do you still want this, Dad?" I smiled. Indeed. I can't have him anymore. I also blocked and deleted my dad. David knocked on the door carefully, holding 2 angled loofahs. "Auntie, these loofahs are different from the ones I bought at home. I don't know how to peel them." My mom smiled and led David to the yard, teaching him how to peel the angled loofahs and telling him to use the peels to feed the chickens. I end the evening. My mom killed a big rooster that had been raised for 2 years. It's our local custom that when a new son-in-law comes for the first time, a big rooster must be killed to treat the son-in-law. Thinking about Sophia's post just now, I also took a family photo and posted on my social media. Finally met the parents. A strange call came in. I answered it, and Michael's angry voice came through. "Lily, how could you be with David? Don't you know what kind of family David comes from? A guy from a high-ranking official's family like him is just playing with you." David heard this and looked at me aggrievedly. "Lily, he's slandering me." I quickly patted his arm to soothe him and said coldly to Michael, "I know better than you what kind of person David is. At the very least, he didn't bring another woman home to meet his parents while we were dating. Michael, stop calling me. Between us, it was completely over the moment you brought Sophia home." After hanging up, Michael went crazy, frantically calling me and my mom with different numbers. I got so annoyed that I set both my phone and my mom's to airplane mode. George wasn't in good health, so both families discussed and decided to hold the engagement banquet in Beijing. The next morning, my family boarded first class. Just as we were about to board the plane, my high school classmate Chun Wei suddenly messaged me. Lily, where did you all go? Why isn't anyone home? Michael came looking for you, saying he couldn't reach you by phone. He's so anxious he's about to call the police. I feigned surprise and replied, Didn't Michael tell you? We broke up ages ago. Where did I go? In meeting my boyfriend's parents. His parents invited my whole family to Beijing for a visit. Okay. Gotta go, I'm boarding now. Tell Michael for me that a good ex should act like they're dead and stop bothering me. Unable to find me anywhere, and with me not answering calls. Michael somehow bought a new SIM card and bombarded me with texts from different numbers. Lily, you need to know when to stop throwing a tantrum. I admit. Changing your train ticket and having Thomas accompany Sophia for the Mid-Autumn Festival was my fault. I didn't consider your feelings. I apologize. Okay. Even if I was wrong, aren't you at fault too? After all these years together, you break up with me over such a small thing. How do you think that makes my parents see you? You know they already have issues with you. If you keep this up, they'll never approve of us. Lily, you don't actually think David will marry you, do you? Stop kidding yourself. Haven't you heard about the Wilson family? A high-ranking family like theirs would never accept a girl from a divorced home as their daughter-in-law. Lily, you win. I surrender. I'll make Sophia leave my house right now. Where are you? I'll pick you up. Let's meet the parents today. Okay. Text after text came in. I blocked one number and had use another. Eventually, David couldn't stand it anymore. With one call, a new phone arrived in less than half an hour. Lily, do you mind getting a new number? I shook my head, pulled out the old SIM card, snapped it in half, and threw it in the trash. A trashy ex-boyfriend belongs with the trash. October 6th was supposed to be the day Michael and I met the parents. But now, it was my engagement day with David. Michael somehow found out which hotel we were at and showed up, seeing me in traditional Chinese attire standing next to David. Michael's eyes instantly reddened. He rushed over, trying to grab my hand, but David lifted his long leg and kicked him hard, sending him flying. Michael. Sophia screamed, running over to help Michael up. Michael shoved Sophia aside, walked up to me with red eyes, pointed at David, and shouted, Lily, are you really going to throw away 20 years of growing up together for a guy you just met? I gave a cold laugh. Michael, you were the one who gave up on this relationship first. Do you know how hard it was to get those train tickets? I stayed up 3 whole nights just to book them. But what about you? Just to have Thomas accompany Sophia for the Mid-Autumn Festival. You secretly changed my train ticket home without even telling me. If you didn't want me to go home, if you didn't want me to meet your parents, you could have told me straight to my face. Michael, you said it yourself, we grew up together. You know better than anyone that I'm not the type to cling desperately. My accusations, word by word, made Michael's face turn deathly pale. No, that's not it. Lily, you've got it all wrong. How could I not take you to meet my parents? We agreed that after both families met this national day, would get engaged right away. I just thought, you have everything. But Sophia has nothing. I wanted to make it up to her before we got engaged. I raised my hand, cutting off his self-pitying speech. Michael, who you pity or make amends to has nothing to do with me. And there's no need to explain all this. Sorry, I'm about to get engaged. I don't want my future husband to misunderstand our relationship. Since we've broken up, it's best if we just stop contacting each other from now on. Michael's eyes widened in disbelief. Lily, you can't do this to me. We promised to go home together for National Day, meet the parents, and then get engaged. We were so close to being together forever. Lily, I was wrong. Please give me another chance. Okay. I swear, as long as you forgive me this time, I'll never care about Sophia's business again. Sophia, with tears in her eyes, screamed and grabbed Michael's arm. Michael, how could you ignore me? I'm pregnant with your child. Sophia's words were like a thunderbolt. Michael's face turned deathly pale, and he shouted at Sophia in a breakdown. How is that possible? Didn't we only have that one time? I even bought you the emergency contraceptive. Didn't you take it? Sophia blushed and stroked her slightly protruding belly. Michael, this is your child. How could I be willing to get rid of it? Michael went crazy. He tightly grabbed Sophia's slender wrist. His expression ferocious. Get rid of it. Sophia. I've told you before. I like your sister. The only woman I'll ever marry in my life is your sister. I won't marry you. And I won't be responsible for this child. Shut up. Mr. and Mrs. Brown rushed over in a hurry. Mr. Brown slapped Michael across the face. Mrs. Brown tightly protected Sophia. My father also rushed over and demanded that Michael give him an explanation. Michael. Either you marry Sophia right now, or I'll call the police. You got my precious daughter pregnant, and then want to force her to have an abortion. Do you really think the Brown family can cover up the sky with one hand? If you can't give me a satisfactory explanation today, well, see you at the police station. Mr. and Mrs. Brown had never liked me and wanted Sophia to replace me and marry Michael. Now, upon hearing that Sophia was pregnant with Michael's child, they immediately slapped their chests and promised, Mr. Green, you can rest assured that if this brat Michael dares to let Sophia down, well, break his legs. My father nodded in satisfaction, then turned around and looked at me with a hint of guilt in his eyes. Lily, I know you and Michael grew up together and agreed to get engaged this mid-autumn festival. But you just heard that your sister is pregnant with Michael's child. Anyway, you and Michael haven't gotten engaged yet. Just give in to your sister. Stop. I raised my hand to interrupt him. Mr. Green. I'm an only child. My mother only gave birth to me. When did I suddenly get a sister? My father flew into a rage. Sophia is just as much my biological daughter as you. Why isn't she your sister? I sneered. She's just an illegitimate daughter born to a mistress. You. My father raised his arm. About to hit me. Stop. Robert walked up to me and stared at my father with a cold look in his eyes. Thomas, dare you lay a hand on Lily? My father sized Robert up and down with a contemptuous look in his eyes. Robert, don't think that just because you spent a little money to help me through college, you can tell me what to do. You're just an old man growing tea in the countryside. What can you do to me? George strode over. If Robert can't do anything to you, what about me? With a wave of George's hand, several plainclothes policemen immediately stepped forward and grabbed my father and Michael by the arms. Mr. Wilson walked over and stared coldly at my father. You're Mr. Green from WXIN Media. Right. I've heard a lot about you. I heard that you've been inviting people to dinner everywhere and giving out a lot of dry shares to get your company listed, bribing public officials, manipulating stock prices, and fleecing stockholders. I'll have someone look into this matter carefully. Seeing Mr. Wilson. Cold sweat broke out on my father's forehead. Secretary Wilson, why are you here? Mr. Wilson smiled. It's my son's engagement party. Why can't I, as a father, be here? My father suddenly widened his eyes. He looked at Mr. Wilson in disbelief. Then at David. And finally at me. Lily, why didn't you tell Dad that the person you're getting engaged to is Secretary Wilson's son? You child, why did you keep such a big thing from Dad? I scoffed. Didn't Mom call and invite you to come? You said yourself that the people I invited were all riff-raff, and told me and Mom not to bother you. Looking at Mr. Wilson's ashen face, my father was so scared that his legs trembled. Lily glanced at the modest tea restaurant behind us and shrieked, grabbing Thomas' arm. What kind of secretary? What retired official? It's all lies. Dad, don't be fooled. If David's father were really a high-ranking provincial official, why would this engagement party be so shabby? I doubt there are even 3 tables of guests inside. They must be actors hired by my sister. Shut up. Thomas slapped Sophia hard across the face. What do you know? Secretary George must lead by example in his position. He then turned to George with an ingratiating smile. Secretary George, We understand the regulations government officials' children can't have extravagant weddings, that we fully support this. This wretched girl deceived me. Had I known Lily's fiancé was your son, how could I have missed my own daughter's engagement? He shoved Sophia aside and pulled Lily toward the entrance. Sophia wailed behind us. Dad! Are you abandoning me? You told me to seduce Michael. You promised if I got pregnant, you'd make the Brown family marry me. Sophia's words exploded like thunder over Michael. He lunged. Strangling her neck, bitch. You set me up. Sophia laughed hysterically. I set you up. Michael, did I force you to change Lily's train ticket? Did I hold a knife making you sleep with me? What's wrong? First you rushed me to meet your parents. Now that Lily's ditching you for another man's engagement, you regret it. Dream on. If you don't marry me, I'll report you for rape. You bitch. Michael tackled her, and they brawled violently, David signaled. And hidden security teams dragged both families away. News of Michael and Sophia surfaced later in a police bulletin, enraged by Sophia's scheming that cost him Lily. Michael had publicly beaten Sophia until she miscarried, hemorrhaging severely. Sophia underwent a hysterectomy upon waking. She immediately reported Michael for rape and intentional assault, to avoid prison for their son. The Browns forced Michael to marry Sophia, but Sophia was no longer their ideal daughter-in-law. After the engagement party, the Browns investigated and discovered Robert wasn't a poor farmer, but a decorated war veteran. Though disabled and retired to farm, his old comrades were now powerful officials, realizing they'd traded a well-connected bride for an illegitimate daughter. The Browns were consumed by regret, blaming Sophia instead of their son. They unleashed their fury on her, post-marriage. Sophia expected luxury instead. The Browns despised her infertility and hired Michael, a young, beautiful assistant. When the assistant got pregnant, Sophia stormed the office but was slapped twice by Michael. Who are you to call her a homewrecker? Weren't you one too? Michael's triumph was short-lived, bitter over his infidelity and her stolen motherhood. Sophia uncovered the Browns' illegal operations and reported them. The Brown empire collapsed, landing Michael and his father in prison, while stealing gold bars from the Browns' safe to flee. Sophia was caught by Mrs. Brown. Their struggle ended with both tumbling from the third floor. Mrs. Brown died instantly from a head injury on marble stairs. Sophia suffered spinal damage, becoming paraplegic. Sophia called Thomas for help, but he was already doomed. On Secretary George's order, Thomas was arrested the day after the engagement for bribery and stock manipulation. Desperate, he wrote letters begging us to persuade George for leniency. But how could we? What about investors ruined by his stock scams? Thomas received no reply and was sentenced to 18 years. By then, we'd returned to our hometown. My wedding with David was finally decided to be held at the Martyrs' Cemetery with the unanimous agreement of both families. There was no grand wedding ceremony, nor fine wine and delicacies. We donated the money originally intended for the wedding to renovate the dilapidated cement road leading to the Martyrs' Cemetery. On the wedding day, our flowers were chrysanthemums, symbolizing remembrance, spread all over the Martyrs' Cemetery. Our guests were these revolutionary martyrs who had shed blood and sacrificed their lives for new China. When it came to the toast, David and I, holding wedding candies and wine, walked past each tombstone. The path to our happiness was paved by them with their flesh and blood. Now, we also want to pave a bright road for them. If the soldiers have spirits in heaven, they must be able to look down the road at the foot of the mountain and see the prosperous China today. Right. When descending the mountain, I vaguely saw Michael's figure in the crowd of onlookers. He was hunched over, hiding among the people, looking at me with greedy eyes. I did not look back, but firmly held David's hand. Michael, thank you for letting me see your true colors before the engagement with a rescheduled train ticket. Thank you for bringing such a wonderful David to me. The end.